So, mastering men, leading human beings, is not logical. It's not a matter of rational process. This is something that technocrats really don't understand. Technocrats and people who have naturally technocratic tendencies believe if you are logical, everything will work out. If you ground everything in rationality and empirical proof, everything will work out. No! People aren't like that. You can manage a farm using rational processes, but you can't lead the farm workers that way. You can manage an economy, but you cannot lead the people who produce and who distribute in that economy. This is the great flaw of many people in politics who approach it like a science. Politics is not a science, despite the fact that there are political science departments in every college. Politics is an art. Politics is not about mastering nature. It's not like building a bridge or a skyscraper, fighting a forest fire. Those things involve objective reasoning, objective perception, dealing with the problem as it is, whether we like it or not. But politics is not simply about telling people what to do. If it was, then the worst form of government would be democracy and republic, and the best form of government would be a totalitarian police state. No, politics is not about telling people what to do. Politics is about inspiring people to want to do the right thing. There's a difference there. About inspiring people to want to do the right thing. And the right thing isn't necessarily what you think it should be. The right thing in a free society could be the diametrical opposite to what you believe. That's why, among other things, politicians need to be objective about their own desires. A politician that falls for their own propaganda, a politician that believes their own spiel beyond a certain point, a politician that becomes blind to the reality that their point of view is simply one of many points of view, is ultimately going to become a fanatic or a failure, or hopefully both. The successful fanatics are the ones you got to worry about. They change the world, not for the better. Are you dealing, when you are leading people, with a simple rational process? Problem, possible solutions, best possible solution. Here's how we get there. No. When you're leading people, you've got to get them involved in the process. You've got to appeal to them. You've got to explain to them why it matters that we do something, why this problem is a problem. Now you may think, well, that's not necessary. They should know. No, yeah, all sorts of shoulda, woulda, coulda doesn't work. You have to understand that people have their own sets of priorities that are not the same as yours. And if you're going to be a politician, or if you're going to understand politicians, what politicians are really good at is figuring out the hopes, the dreams, the purpose-built delusions and self-delusions, and what motivates other people. And they use all of those things to craft messages that are inspirational, that bring people out of themselves into a common cause, to help them take part in a productive solution to problems. And since we have many opinions about what the best solution is, politics is usually about two or more competing ideas of what is the best possible solution. Mastering men, leading people, is not a logical process. It's an intuitive one. It is not a rational process. It's a process involving faith, philosophy, emotion. And it's also about how you use your role in a given moment to achieve. So, when you are dealing with politics in the legislature, you're going to have a few people who are technocratically oriented, who are befuddled and frustrated because people could, look at the data. The data is very clear. We've got to do this, this, and this. And you're not listening. You must be stupid. You must be irrational. You must be an emotional basket case. No, I don't see the data as being reflecting of the whole picture. I do not therefore find your conclusions compelling. In fact, I think you are blind to a greater reality, and I will oppose you because I think I have a better idea. Oh, you're just stupid. No, I'm not. I have a different set of priorities, and I am reasoning this differently than you are, because in addition to taking into account the facts of the data that you have presented, I'm also taking into account my understanding of human nature, which is not a rational thing, and my understanding of how the world works, which is based as much on history as it is on rationality, which is based as much on my life experiences dealing with people as it is upon any theoretical model of looking at how people behave. But that's just irrational. Yeah. Human beings have the capacity for reason, and we exercise that capacity frequently, but not constantly. If you are a mother and you see the burning building where your child is, you think, you don't think. Many mothers will run into a burning building to try to take their children out, and some of them succeed. But it's not ever a part of that moment for a mother to rationally calculate the risk. It's almost all maternal instinct. I must save the child. I must put myself between the saber-toothed tiger and the baby. I have to do it. And dads have this too. Politicians need to understand all of these things, all of these intangible things. And a politician in the legislature has to understand them more than most, because they're not executives. They're not the total leader. They're not the ones who are at the fulcrum of all of this. They are part of a group. So in addition to appreciating the collective wisdoms, plural, of the electorate that put them in office, a congressional member, a congressman, a member of the House of Representatives, a U.S. representative, has to take into account, above and beyond their voters back home, they have to take into account the Congress, its traditions, its leadership. They have to take into account the group dynamics that they are a part of, that they are not the leaders of. They have to not only manipulate voters, media, donors, but they have to manipulate or try to influence fellow congressmen who are peers and more senior congressmen who are superiors within the hierarchies that Congress has set up. That's mastering men. It's really complicated, and it requires a willingness to be humble as well as to be confident as a leader. It requires a willingness to bend in terms of how you explain things without violating your core integrity and your core principles. It's a very, very, very hard thing to do. Because politics is the art of the possible, and within a legislature, politics is the art of compromise. When can you compromise in order to achieve success? And when can't you? We'll talk about that, among other things, next time.